It's time to see red.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to an extra special episode of Sea Red UK, Chicago Bulls Chat, where sleep is optional, but loving the Bulls isn't. I'm your host, Neill, and a familiar face to some is joining me tonight, the brainchild behind Sea Red UK's inception, my old co-host, truck driver extraordinaire, and Bulls superfan turned super casual, Mr. Matt Hearn. And I have to say, he's half the size he was the last time he was on a pod with me, so something must be going well for you, Matt. What's it like to be getting decent sleep these days?
Yeah. Obviously that's one of the benefits to stepping away is I am getting some sleep, and I guess it's also helped me lose a bit of weight. Well,
Yeah,
quite a lot of
big
weight,
time.
to be fair. Yeah, obviously I just kind of disappeared, didn't I? I just left you to it. My bad.
yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah. So we never actually did a video or a pod for me to say bye or anything, did we? I think I can't remember who I spoke about last. John
No,
Cow, whatever his name is, who went to Heat, I think, and then kind of never returned from that.
that was it. Yeah, you just stepped away and left me to it.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously thought I'd hop back on and have a chat with you. We've been chatting anyway, haven't we? So
Oh yeah,
it's
practically
just
every day I'd say, more or less.
just a bit more private and
Hmm.
um probably a bit more open than probably what we would have done on the pods if we'd have carried on.
Yeah, pretty
So
likely I'd say. Said it covers it pretty much. So I
yeah,
suppose I've got a few questions I want to ask you. I just think that people will be interested in kind of knowing. Um, Obviously, as you say, we've been talking all the time, so I pretty much have an idea of what the answers are to most of these. But I'm going to ask them anyway, just for the sake of other people, just in case they do want to know. First of all, do you miss it?
um, yes and no, mainly no. Um, Obviously, there's reasons why I stepped away, and they're the reasons why I don't miss it.
Right.
Um, Obviously, I do miss the whole jumping on and chatting and getting stuff out there, I guess.
Hmm.
But let's say we've still been chatting, and I've still got a lot off my chest. So in that sense, I don't need to miss it.
True. Um, so bearing that in mind, I know you still do dip into the socials a little bit, and we have our fantasy league chat, and like you say, we have our own personal chat as well about things. How does it feel to take the shackles off and just be able to say how you really feel about stuff instead of feeling constrained to, I suppose, saving the face of the brand of Sea Red UK?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say too much because I know you're still carrying it on, and I don't want to destroy the brand.
That
But
bad, huh?
but yeah, obviously, I think in particular in the Discord, a lot of people have seen it. Well, some people, the ones that aren't in the fantasy league chat, have probably seen a different side, a more unleashed side, shall we say? Obviously, you've seen that side plenty anyway. So
Yeah.
um, I know Troy has come in for a lot of my, how can I word it, sarcasm, sort
Hmm.
of trolling. I don't know what you call it. Obviously, we've interacted with Troy for long enough that I'm sure he knows it's not serious and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Discord is a place where I tend to unleash a lot of it. I've obviously, with stepping away from C Red, I stepped away from the socials altogether, really. Obviously, I'm still on Twitter, but I just don't get involved with it, apart from to drop the odd sarcastic comment or entertain myself from every now and again when I'm bored. So, and again, Troy seems to be the one that gets it a lot there. Apologies, Troy.
Troy's a big boy. He's well able to take it. Don't worry. He can give it back too.
Yeah.
So the next thing I suppose is, are you and I know this was kind of a big bit of why you were struggling sometimes, especially at weekends anyway. Are you less in the doghouse with the missus?
I'm always in the doghouse. Yeah, she's a
I
woman. You
don't doubt it.
can't do right for doing wrong, can you? So, you know, there's that classic thing in there of behind every woman or behind every angry woman, there's a man that doesn't know what he's done. So,
Hmm.
that's usually me.
Yeah, it's me
I
in my
will.
house. Don't worry.
I mean, I will say I'm a lot more present, I guess.
Hmm.
Because that was part of the reason why I stepped away. Is it was taking up far too much time. Obviously, I was tired from watching the games live and then trying to piece together everything else. And I know you took a lot of it off me towards the end, but it was still, it was too much, especially with working 14, 15-hour days as well in
Hmm.
between it, and obviously lack of sleep and everything that come with it. So yeah, I mean, what would you give it? 4 years, did I? Something just over 4 years,
Yeah,
and
4 years.
it was not all bad, but like I say, there's reasons in the end why I decided to step away. So yeah.
Right. And so the final question then on your personal side of things before we get into the Bulls, how are you doing in general? Are you happier with life, or are you ready to punch the nearest person to you, or how's the mental headspace?
Headspace is a lot better, obviously, through getting the sleep, obviously
Hmm.
using the extra time to focus on myself with the weight loss, and got back into rugby, attempted to play it, but picked up injuries and decided to retire, all in the space of what, 4 months. Um, so that went well, but what it did do is give me the drive to get fit again and keep it going, and like I say, focus on myself more than anything. I still want to punch people. I mean, that's never going to change because I don't like people. So, and I spend far too much time in London, which, funny enough, is where I've just left today. So,
Right.
I'm
So I know what kind of form that puts you in. So this should be fun talking about Bulls.
yeah,
Okay. So great to hear that it's all going well for you. I'm not at all jealous about the fact that you're getting sleep and that you've turned into a skinny fucker. Um, I don't get that kind of luxury in my life right now because somebody deserted me and left me to do everything with Sea Reg UK, but we won't get into that right now. Um, we'll start talking about some Bulls because that's the main reason why we were here in the first place. That's the main reason why we're back here again. So, how much have you been keeping up to speed with what's going on? Just to let everybody that's listening know, are you as I mean, obviously you don't stay up late watching the games anymore. Are you as clued in as you would have been other than that, or have you taken a bit of a step away altogether from that too?
uh, I mean, obviously, I don't watch the games live. I mean, my streak got to what, 400 and something. That was summer league and pre-season and everything as well. Um, so yeah, I'm not that invested. Obviously, still in the Discord and still help kind of running that, I guess, with certain
Yeah,
things.
you do.
And um, I guess I'd say I'm more of a fan now than what being a creator allowed me to be, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
There was times I said to you one night that doing the podcasts, doing the game day graphics and all that took the enjoyment out of being a fan.
Right.
Um, which, like I say, I'm not watching the games, but I watch what I can. Obviously, speaking to you every day, especially after games,
Yeah.
to sort of get that. Obviously, my um, Bulls content consumption massively dropped in terms of podcasts and stuff like that. I just
Right.
basically I didn't step away from it, but it was a world. That kind of world is what I wanted to get away from. So yeah, there's very few Bulls podcasts I listen to now, which is also good for your headspace, by the way. Um, and but yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm the world we're in now, it's easy to keep track of everything without actually being fully invested, I think. So
Yeah.
can say what you want about what kind of fan it makes you and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, the content's still there for everybody, and you know, as we always say, fan how you want to fan. So
Yeah, exactly. Something we always said, just because back in the days when we were recording together, we were both staying up at all hours watching every game. That we never looked at that as making us anything bigger or better than the next person who's just watching highlights. Fan however you want to fan, be a Bulls fan, whatever way suits you and fits into your lifestyle. Once you're a fan, and that's all that matters really.
yeah, I mean, the
So
one thing we used
go
to
on.
say on that, yeah, the one thing we used to say on that is the reason why we did it was, or not the main reason, but to do the podcast and to do content and to be, finger on pulse sort of thing, we
Yeah,
felt we had to watch the games to give
yeah,
true assessments, true, you
definitely.
punditry.
You must really see that now, the fact that you were so invested in watching every game live, and now it can be made up of disjointed piecemeal parts of games as opposed to like highlights or lowlights or whatever it is that you're managing to scrap together. You must see a difference in the angle and perspective that gives you on the games.
Yeah, definitely, and not just on the games, but on Bulls as a whole, the NBA as a whole, because the content you end up consuming is what people want you to see.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um, so when you actually look into the stats side of it, I guess the um, listen to other people's narratives surrounding it, you do kind of get a different perspective, I guess, because at the end of the day, when you watch every game live, you make up your own narratives and your own perspective on how things are going. And I think maybe that's why, as we move forward through this episode, a lot of my opinions have changed from where I was,
right,
because I guess I'm not trying to put a narrative out there for a podcast that I want people to listen to and I want people to comment on, and maybe I've always been of the thing that I don't really care what people think of me or my opinion, but I kind of find when you do podcasting and content creating, you're doing it to please people,
right,
and it can kind of cloud your judgment in a way. I mean, obviously you're still doing it all, so you might see it different to me, but that's one thing. Looking at it all from having been doing it to now looking at it from the outside is one thing that I see massively is, and it's with people that are still doing it basically. So
hmm
yeah, different
yeah. No,
perspectives, different opinions.
yeah, it's interesting, and I'm sure if I was to step away, I'd kind of get more of what you're saying from the same angle that you're coming from. But obviously, for me, I'm currently invested in it, and I'm in the thick of it, so I might not realize it enough until I do decide to hang up the mic. But um, that's in the future sometime. For now, let's talk about the current state of affairs with this Chicago Bulls team. And I know that I came out hot, as did the Bulls, and really was impressed with how they were playing. And then they fell off a cliff, and it was a very big, very tall, very steep cliff. And we are currently looking at a 7-0 losing streak, 7-game losing streak. So I can get into this. I'm sure the people are sick of hearing me talk. Um, I am going to let you give me your opinion on the losing streak, the way they started the season compared to the way they've been playing more recently, and what your take is on the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to the 5-0 start, I guess very easy to get swept up in the hype and yeah, go along with it. And like I said, that as a creator, you have to basically get swept up with, I think, and stuff like that. And I mean, obviously, I was constantly putting in the Discord, it's these games don't count, and that's something that I probably would never have said had I still been doing the podcast.
You might.
Yeah, maybe. And obviously, yeah, it's good. They were, like you said, they were at the time they were playing good, fun basketball to watch, and I know you in particular was loving the fact that you were getting up at 1 o'clock and that's what you were getting to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but then when you look at it, like I was saying in the Discord, the games mean nothing. You know what I mean? Because, all right, yeah, it's 5 wins that they've got, and it's 5 wins that they'll have at the end of the season. But to then go and lose 7 on the bounce with a couple of losses and wins in between,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's balls in it. It's. I mean, this current losing streak is, well, it's diabolical in it. It's shocking.
Yeah.
More so because of the standard of opposition, and it's like I said to you last week or whenever it was, when people say Bulls play down to the level of opposition, are they actually playing down, or is that actually Bulls level? And they play up to their opposition when they're playing against these other teams, like when they beat Nuggets and stuff like that, you know. Or is it Nuggets are playing down to their level of, or our level of, you just, yeah, it's, when you look at it, it's no different to how it's been for the last however many years now, which obviously led into what I was saying to you last week about change is needed. And I know
Yeah.
obviously he's gone through the changes, and, 9 to 10 good players following the Pacers, blueprint and all that sort of stuff. It's not working, is it? It's
No, not
clearly,
not at
you
all.
know.
And it's such a pity, right? Because to get back to that 5-0 start and how everybody that was involved and invested got swept up in it. It wasn't because it was 5-0. It was because of the way they were playing. And that was the thing that made it really believable for that short spell, because they, and I know they've been hampered by, countless injuries. And when you're running with a deep bench, and that's kind of your star player, is the fact that you have a deep bench, and then all of a sudden your bench is half the length that it was, not to mention the fact that half your starters are out as well, it's going to impact the success of the team. But the problem is that no matter who's been out or who's been playing or whatever, that identity has been lost somewhere along the way, and they can't seem to get back to it. And at this stage, I don't see how they're going to get back to it, and that's the bigger problem, because now that team that won those first 5 games and the team that we're seeing playing now are not the same team at all. It may have the same personnel, or some of the same personnel and some injured, but it makes no difference. The identity is gone. The way the players are playing on the court is completely different. They don't look like they're playing the same brand of basketball at all. It couldn't be further removed from the way they started the season. And that's such a massive problem for this team. Is I think they've become so lost that they don't know how to follow the breadcrumbs home.
Yeah, and obviously some of the things we've been saying is, has Billy lost the team? Have the
Yeah,
team tuned him out? And that's one of the things I've been saying for change is they've got to start looking at the management changes now, the off court changes, because he's done the on court changes that they haven't worked.
no,
You know, and I'm not saying another coach coming in would turn things around, but you get a new GM in who then brings a new coach in. You've got different ideas, you've got different things moving forward, and certain players might react different. to that. To me,
Yep.
at the minute, it just seems that the team have tuned Billy out. They're not interested in what he's saying and the way he wants to do it. And you can say he's a Hall of Fame coach and stuff like that, but I mean that's from his college career anyway. So we're in what, year 6 now with Billy and AK, this regime. Year 1 was a evaluation year. They made the
Yep.
changes. We then had what, 3 years of, well, we had one playoff run with a gentleman's sweep, and then 3 years of the play-in, and they've constantly been ninth, 10th seed. It's
Yeah.
just, and at the minute they're struggling to be the 10th seed. So any other team, any other organisation would be looking at making these changes off court, starting with AK, starting with, then secondly with Billy and stuff like that. You know, a team goes on a 7-game losing streak, straight away the coach is on the hot seat.
Yeah.
You've had teams like Nuggets and Bucks that have won the title, and within 2 years change the coach. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, Bulls are just happy to be sat mid and been mediocre like they have been for the last however many years, and it's just like, yeah, Billy's got a job for life, as long as he wants it. Here's another extension.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the trend that we've been looking at. And the only thing is that I can't even call the Bulls mid anymore. And they're not. They're below that. They are bottom feeders right now. And it's hard to say they're anything else other than that. I mean, they have to be at the moment. They have to be in the conversation with Pelicans and the Wizards, and even I'd even put the Hornets above them right now. The way things are going, they're just they're just not a good team, and it's got to that stage where you have to look at that and go, well, we're not mid. We've been mid for years. We're not mid now. We're below that now, and that's the point at which, whatever about coasting at mid, and not that I'm saying that's acceptable, because believe me, I'm not saying that is acceptable, but that's where we've been for years, coasting in this middle pocket for so long. We're not there anymore. We're at the bottom now. It's time for change. The excuses are over. It has to change. And I don't see, unfortunately, with the way this Bulls team is operated, I don't see if that's going to come or not. And it may take the entirety of the season, and let's see where we end up in the lottery. Oh, do we get lucky? And if we don't get lucky in the lottery, then we might see change, because they're left with dregs, or they've not really come out of it the way they hoped. It may pan out, because there's a lot of, with AK and with the Dwarfs, there's an awful lot of this, let's sit around and see how it changes. Let's see what changes. And the fact is that you have to manufacture change. You have to make change happen. And they just don't do that. And that's how we stayed mid for so long. And now it's fallen flat on its arse.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big change would need to happen is the Dwarfs to relinquish control,
But we all
and
know that's not
that's,
happening.
yeah, because it's a cash cow,
Yeah.
and obviously it, even with a load of empty seats, they're still going to be making a shit ton of money, and
Yeah.
so then the next change has to be AK to get
Hmm.
some new ideas, because you know the ideas that he's had, yeah, all right, they look good, they sound good when he does them. That first year when he brought in Demar, Caruso, Lonzo, and all that, and you just thought, yeah, something's going to happen here,
Hmm.
and it just didn't. It did for what, 30 odd games, and then went
Yeah.
back to the norm. Um, and like you said, then obviously if Bulls end up in the lottery, that's a chance to maybe move forward. Get a decent pick, but do you trust AK to do that? I mean, you look at the picks that he's made: Matas, Ayo, aside,
Mm-hmm.
they're shocking, aren't they? Really.
It's hard to say anything else other than that. Yeah, definitely.
And obviously you look at this year's pick in Noah Asenge, which I
Mm,
mean, obviously I did do a video on him, and I did say that it's gonna be a bit of a make or break pick, but you won't see that for a good 2-3 years, either way. Um, that's probably been put back another year now because obviously he had
yeah,
6 minutes or something of his rookie year, and now he's out. And it just his picks follow a trend, don't they? And it's just yeah,
it's always looking for that high ceiling project player. That's the way that AK tends to operate, and you know, you can keep swinging, and unless you get a really good connection, it's not going to make it's not going to make enough of a difference to a team like this. And that's the problem. He has to just get incredibly lucky with one of his swings, and that just hasn't been it so far. I mean, we even thought Mattis was going to do that this year. And defensively, he's still pretty good. He's got really good numbers defensively. He's had better games more recently than he had been having. He had a really bad spell kind of in the middle at the start of the losing streaks, but he's kind of come around a bit again, and he's been more energetic, more focused on what he's doing. He hasn't been getting quite as many foul calls as he was at the start, which I think really threw him. But Mattis hasn't developed the way it was looking like he was going to take that leap this year either. So I think Mattis will get there. I think he is a face of the future, and I'm going to ask you a question in a minute. I don't want to kind of lead you into the answer, but I definitely think that Mattis has still got that potential anyway, but he's not right now, and that's the problem. Noah Essengay wasn't even seeing tick with the main team. He was down in the Windy City for the most part. Yeah, he was playing well enough down there, but at the moment, the thing that Noah Essengay is going to be most remembered for is the Johnny Furphy dunk. And that's so unfortunate for the poor kid. But look, he could come back and he could provide something for us down the road. But the problem is with a team that is on its arse like this one is, we don't need down the road. We need now. We need change right now. So to roll back on what I was saying there a second ago, if actually, do you know what? I'm going to save it for the next subject. I'm going to bring it into the next subject. Remind me to come back to it, right? Because I want to talk a little bit about Billy Donovan. One thing that we didn't talk about when we were going over all the changes that are needed was Billy Donovan. So, what is your take on him? I know you said earlier on that you think he may have lost the locker room, and lost the respect and the ears of the guys that should be listening to him. So, what do you think needs to happen in regards to Billy? Does he need a backroom staff change? Does he need to go? Will a player change and potentially keeping Billy be the way forward? What way do you think it should go?
yeah. I mean, obviously in the past we've not sort of sided with Billy, but we've kind of give him a bit of leeway. I think on
Yeah,
previous pods that we've done together, where we've kind of said you can only work with what he's got. Um, but you can also say a bad workman blames his tools. And it's like I say, yeah, all right, he got inducted into the Hall of Fame or whatever, but that was for his college career. And
right.
how long ago was that? Do you know what I mean? And when you look at what he has actually done in the 5.5 to 6 years now at Bulls, he's a losing coach.
Yeah,
And he's had, all right, it's not worked out, but some of the talent he's had on the rosters, when we've had like, obviously, Damar, Zach, and all that, yeah, say what you want about them players, but they are talented players. There were more than enough talent there to get a team into the playoffs more than once.
you would
And
think.
yet Billy couldn't do it. So is that the players? Is that Billy? Is it the roster construction, whatever it happens to be. But like I said, teams have gone out there and won a title, and then within 2 years got rid of coaches, and it's like I said, I'm not saying you bring in a new coach and it turns things round, but you bring in a new coach, it brings in new ideas possibly. It might unleash part of a certain player's game, for example. Like Matas said that Billy told him not to do a certain shot again. And if that's what Matas was working on, then you've kind of took away something that he was confident in doing, and you're making him now think about what he's going to be doing in a game. And some players, when they have to think, it goes to shit. Like the last few games, for example, Dale and Terry, which we've always been an admirer of him, he's not going to win your games. That's
Nope.
I'm not saying that, but what he does bring is energy and defensive sort of capabilities. And one thing that's contagious in sport is energy. The rest of the team are going to look at Dylan running around like a lunatic, going, "Oh, I need to do that. I need to dive for that ball. I need to square up to Isaiah Stewart. I need to, be a bit of a goon, if that's the right sort of word for it." But then DT makes one mistake and Billy sits him.
Yeah.
So then the rest of the team are going to look at that and go, "I don't want to be that guy.
No, absolutely.
I'll just reel it back a little bit because I don't want to make that mistake." And the same goes for Matas. He's constantly sitting Matas after a rookie mistake, a silly little mistake, whatever. And you can educate somebody without sitting them. That, and that's one thing that Billy's always done. He's always sat players. It's like, but he does it at the wrong time. And that's one thing we have constantly said about him is he would let a player go cold, virtually ice cold, before sitting them. But when, and then when they're getting hot, he'll also sit them. And it's like, what are you doing here, Billy? You've made one mistake, but he's also just dropped 20 points in a row. Why have you sat him now? Do you know what I mean? And like I say, I'm not saying a new coach would change things, but it brings in new ideas. Like you said, do you change the backroom staff? Billy's coaching staff. They've done that.
Yeah.
And that's not changed anything, has it? So, yeah.
No.
Unfortunately for me, I think Billy's time is run its course now. But at the same time, I think we are stuck with him.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately the way it tends to go with this franchise. Is they a bit like Billy in that respect. They hold on for too long before they make the change. Like Billy leaving players in for too long and then taking them off, or they'll make a sudden snap decision that doesn't make any sense, and it feels like they played the hand too early. Like for instance, the Caruso for Giddy trade. Everybody thought they could have got picks with it. I still think they could have got picks with it. Look, as it's turned out, it's worked out well for both teams. Obviously, OKC, not only did they win a championship last year, they also look like they're unstoppable at the moment as well. But we got Josh Giddey, who has become the absolute engine of this team, and one of very few players who is still trying hard, getting criticised a little bit for his turnovers. And look, I understand that. He does need to work on those. But at the same time, when the ball is in your hands almost dominantly for the whole time you're in the court, and you're running plays and running everything, that's unfortunately a little bit of the collateral damage that comes with it. It's just there's a little bit too much of it. That's the only thing. But I mean, he's going to be getting a couple of turnovers a game. At the moment, he's getting 5 or 6 turnovers a game. He just needs to get that down a little bit. But I digress. It brings me back to that whole like making change from the front office. It just always feels like they hang on too long. Certainly, they had a chance to move Vooch earlier. now Vooch isn't worth a sack of shit right now. They're probably going to end up having to just let him walk at the end of the contract, I would think, unless he can suddenly turn it back on again. I mean, the worst thing that seems to have happened to Nikola Vucevic was after which game was it? Was it the Wizards game? Where he had the walk-off interview with Casey Johnson and he tore the arse off the rest of the team and said that, it's unsustainable and they're playing soft. And next thing is he was out injured for the next 2 games. And then when he came back, it's like he's checked out completely. I mean, one thing that has been said by a few people is, he said the right things, but it came from the wrong guy. And I totally agree with that. He definitely said the stuff that needs to be said, but coming from somebody who is then going to display what he's displayed since, it's lost. The message is completely lost.
Yeah, I mean, I've been called out a few times for my opinions on Vooch over the years from certain people that used to do a little bit of creation for us in particular and stuff like that. And I've always said Vooch frustrates the hell out of me because if he's on form, Bulls usually win. But when he's putting in half an effort, and what he said after that Wizards win, obviously the last win, it needed to be said, and couldn't agree more. But to me, it's come from the wrong person, and it kind of goes down this thing of when everyone says, "Oh, this roster, they all like each other," and that's great. I'm glad you get to go to work and you enjoy being around the people that you're working with. I don't. I can't stand half the people I work with.
That's why you work in a truck on your own.
Yeah, exactly. It says a lot to me. But teams need somebody that is going to hold others accountable as well as herself accountable. And it's all right for Vooch to come out there and say, this isn't sustainable. But then to go and put games up where he's dropping 9 points and 6 rebounds as your starting centre, who is a double machine usually. It's like he's called everyone else out, but at the same time called himself out, and then decided, well, I don't like what you've just said, so I'm not going to turn up now. It's like, and I think by having a bit of a knobhead in the dressing room as such, is needed. Somebody that is gonna, whether people say, "Oh, yeah, everyone likes each other on this roster, but we don't like him because he's very outspoken," or he said this. How many of Michael Jordan's teammates liked him? How many of Kobe Bryant's teammates liked him? Because they had that mentality. And it's all right, Vooch turning on and saying this, but it doesn't necessarily make you just because you're the veteran on the team doesn't make you the leader on the team, because you have to back up what you're saying yourself to be able to pass that message on. And somebody like MJ, Kobe, whoever it would be, if they called their teammates out, that next game they're going out and dropping 40 points, as well as getting the rebounds, the assists, everything that goes into winning basketball, playing defense, whatever happens to be. And then saying, there you go, I've done it, now you do it. And you kind of bring everybody up to your level. Vooch seems to have took the team down to his level, or said he's not happy with it, dropped his own game, and then took everybody down with him. That's it. It was needed. It needed to be said, but I don't think there's anybody on the team that could say it really, because they all like each other. That's the problem.
Well, Javon Carter has come out and said he doesn't give 2 shits about being friends or having love or like for one another. So maybe he could be the guy.
Yeah, because everybody listened to him.
But you know what? He's been hitting some threes this year, I tell you.
I mean, it's like
bad.
Like you brought up Josh Giddey then, and it's been portrayed by Bulls that he's now the leader of this Bulls team. But is he going to turn around and hold everybody else accountable, or is he more worried about what everyone thinks of him? especially. And I think a lot of it is the world we live in now. Everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants that. Especially when you've got a bit of a checkered past, like Giddy, for example. He's got to be very careful what people see of him now online, whether it's on the court, off the court, whatever it happens to be. So if he starts getting a reputation as a bit of a, not a dressing room cancer as such, but a knobhead that is calling people out and sulking about losses and stuff like that, it's like, is that the look that he wants to go for? Whereas you get somebody like Dylan Brooks, I'm not saying he's the most talented player, and I think he's an absolute fucking idiot, but he don't care, does he? Do you know what I mean? He's portrayed that character, and that's just the way it is. Bulls don't have anybody like that, and we need some nasty, and the nasty has to go through the dressing room as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
Playing nice just don't work, does it?
No.
And if it's not coming from the players, it's got to come from the coach, and I don't think it comes from Billy either.
I think Billy's too nice.
Well, what was it? Casey Johnson put something out yesterday that Vooch had gone whinging to Billy about something, and well, that's how I read it anyway. That it's like great. Vooch has gone and spoke to his coach about he's not happy how the team are doing or whatever, and knows that there's parts of his game that need to be worked on or whatever it was that was said, and it's just like, great, you've said it before. Now go out and do it. You're playing Charlotte Hornets tomorrow, who are what, 3 games behind them now, something like that in the standings. We've already lost to them. Is Vooch going to go out there and drop a double, near triple-double, whatever, or is he going to go out there and get dominated by whatever his name is, Kalkbrenner or whatever, the rookie centre that they've got?
Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Yeah. Which I know which way I'd go, like, but yeah.
We shall see. Find out tomorrow night. So, that being said then, right, and this brings me back to what I was going to say earlier on. What roster changes would you potentially like to see? And within this roster currently as it is now, who would you say is not necessarily untouchable, but you would not allow them to be gone unless it was for a massive blockbuster trade?
To be fair, I don't think there's anybody on the roster that is classed as untouchable.
Right.
There's players I wouldn't want to see moved, like Giddy, Buzelis, are 2 that instantly spring to mind. But then, if they're the pieces that get you a superstar, for example, we've seen all these different names going around at the minute, Giannis, AD, whatever happens to be. Are you going to be upset about losing Matas to get Giannis? You'd like to see them work together, ideally, but
right.
I think I'd rather see Giannis doing what Giannis does than Matas getting sat by Billy. So, and yeah, the same can be said for Giddy. Giddy providing Giannis the ball could be
awesome.
Yeah, but if Giddy's the piece that Milwaukee wanted to get Giannis, then you're going to let him go, aren't you? So I don't think there is anybody on the roster that's untouchable as such. So obviously your first part of the question of who do I want to see moved is, I guess, anybody and everybody.
Right.
I think it starts with, like you said, it looks like we're going to let Vooch walk, which shouldn't have let it get to that point. He should have been moved last season. So I really don't care what happens with Vooch. I want him off the team. The one player ordinarily I'd have said not to move would have been Kobe, but I'm starting to see Zach LaVine in Kobe, in the sense that he's just not that guy. As much as Bulls fans want him to be, he's just not that guy. And if you're going to commit him to a 5-year deal, whatever the deal happens to be at the end of this one that he's on at the minute, I think shackling the future, basically, for Bulls, because there's going to be a lot of money invested, a lot of time invested, and right now, to me, Kobe should be, if he's going to be that guy, he should be showing he's that guy. And
Yeah,
yeah, I know he's got his injury concerns and stuff like that at the minute,
on, that's not what
but
I was going to say.
he's,
What I was going to say is it's not Kobe time yet.
oh yeah, you
Kobe
think
doesn't
starting,
start his season until after the All-Star break,
yeah,
which for me, I've always said is my biggest issue with Kobe is he doesn't give you a full season. He
yeah,
doesn't. And when he first came back after his injury, the first game he played, I thought, oh, hang on, he's locked in straight away. Yeah, and now we're back to heat check Kobe, which fries my brain. Yeah, you do. You get these microwave scoring spurts from Kobe White. You know, he's still going to give you 22, 24 points a game. Fair play. Kudos. Give him that. But he's also going to waste an awful lot of possessions by jacking up a three from the logo when there's nobody even in front of him. Everybody's behind him. And I will not ever understand that. And it's my biggest gripe with Kobe White. My second biggest gripe being the fact that he doesn't even start playing until well after Christmas.
yeah, and that's what I mean. How can that be your guy?
Well,
You
it's
know,
not. That's the whole thing. It's not.
and it, he's a great secondary piece,
Hmm.
complementary piece, whatever you want to call it. But that's not what Bulls need right now. They've got that in Josh
No.
Giddey, and having two complementary pieces trying to complement each other and everybody else is 9 to 10 good players, I guess. But um, it's if you're following Pace's blueprint, where's Halliburton?
Yeah, we don't
Where's
have one.
Pascal Siakam?
We
It's
don't have one of
just
them either.
no, you know. And just going back to Kobe as well, if he is going to be that guy, why is nobody else in the league linked with him? Why does nobody
Oh,
else?
actually, it came out today from Casey Johnson that apparently the
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves are
Yeah,
interested in him, and potentially another West Coast team, but that was unnamed.
yeah,
I say do a deal, figure something out. Let's get it done. I
yeah,
want to see change. I want
yeah,
to see change. Um, to answer my own question, I see three players as not necessarily unmovable, but the ones I would like to see stay, unless it means they have to be the piece to make someone like a Giannis come. I wouldn't let them go for an AD, let's say, but I would for someone like a Giannis, right? And that's Ayo Dosunmu, even though he's been playing not great the last couple of games. Matas Buzelis and Josh Giddey. Everybody else after that can go. But if they are the pieces that are required to exercise a big change, and it has to be a superstar level change, then everybody and
yeah,
anybody has to be available.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, I agree. I forgot about Ayo, to be honest. And I mean, he's not set to play tomorrow, is he? Because injury.
Yeah,
Um,
he's got a grade one thumb sprain or something, I think it is. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, if you can get Ayo on a team friendly deal, you know, mid level, whatever it happens to be, that's a cracking player on that sort of a deal, isn't it?
Yep.
I wouldn't overpay Ayo because I don't think he's that level of a player, but he could be your Caruso-esque type player, the one that comes on, you know, creates a little bit of chaos, bit of energy, brings a bit of defensive sort of prowess and stuff like that. We've seen what he does to Trae Young time
Hmm.
and time again. So, yeah, I'd probably keep Ayo, but again, if he was required to get a massive deal done, see you later.
Yeah. And that's the way they have to look at it now, I think. But will they? That's the question.
Exactly.
Just out of curiosity, you're talking about Io and how much of a paycheck it could end up costing to keep him. What would be the ceiling you'd put on paying for Io?
Um, I'd say P will. level deal. You know,
Do you think he'd be happy with that? Would you feel
it's
like you've been hard done by if you're getting paid the same amount as P-Well or P-Well's getting paid the same amount as you?
yeah. I mean, that's on AK, that isn't it?
Well, yeah,
You know, I mean, without P Will having that deal, you'd say it was a good deal for Ayo, wouldn't you? But
yeah.
when you link it to P Will, no, it's probably not.
No, that's the thing. That's
You
the
know,
problem.
if that's the base layer, should we call it, the bottom of what you
Bottom
that's
line
what I mean.
benchmark.
How much is Kobe going to want if that's what P-Will's get?
That's the
So,
question. So I guess just to wrap it all up and put a nice little ribbon on it, do you feel like there's any hope for the future of this team? Or are we looking at years and years of the same old shit?
unless change happens, it's the same old, same old. I think. Um,
Right.
there's definitely some exciting pieces there.
There is.
They just need solid pieces around them. Um, the whole 9 to 10 good players isn't going to work. I've said to you a few times this season that as much as I like Josh Giddey, the fact that Josh Giddey's our best player is also a worry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not meant as a knock to Josh Giddey. That's the fact that if Josh Giddey's the best player on the court, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because to me, when Josh Giddey has his best games, there's possibly two players that have had better games, which
Right.
might sound a little bit double Dutch, but what I mean
No, no,
by
no. It
that
makes perfect
is,
sense because he's a facilitator.
yeah, and I think that's Josh Giddey's more than happy to do that. If it leads
Mm-hmm.
to winning basketball, Josh Giddey would quite happily only put up 12 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, something like that. If Kobe put up 40 points, Pooch put up
Right.
30 points, and it led to Bulls getting a win. But when Giddy's having to go out there and put up nearly 30 points himself, as well as grab the rebounds, as well as put the assists, and obviously when he's putting up that many assists, it tends to put up 7 turnovers. So
Yeah.
if you can take Giddy away from doing that, I think that's when you're getting the best version of Giddy. So the fact that, I mean, obviously we still run the 3 stars of the game, bull of the game, stuff like that in the Discord, and Giddy's running away with it this year. To me,
Yeah.
that
Big
is a
time.
big worry. So, and like I say, it's not a knock on Giddy. I like the way Giddy plays. I like his level of aggression, level of effort, all that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, it's got to be matched by everybody else on the team. Otherwise, it makes Giddy look bad in a way.
Well, yeah. There you go. And just you could just imagine how good Giddy would look right now if he had a rim running big space in the floor and charging to the rim with him. I mean, imagine the amount of lobs and finishes we'd be getting that way. It would be fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, let's hope that we see some sort of change exercised along the way. But I have to say it's been great getting to shoot the shit with you again. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Unless there's anything else you've got that you want to say or you want to add. I know you don't want people to be able to find you on the socials, so I'm not going to ask you to give your handle.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot more I could say. Um,
Yeah, you've been calmer than I expected, I have to say. I thought you'd have been
yeah,
going in a bit stronger on a few things.
um, like I say, I'm trying to respect the brand still, I guess.
Right.
Um, there's plenty of advice, I guess, I could pass on to some people. Um, I know obviously I'm constantly dropping things to you, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's dog eat dog world, and that's probably the one bit of advice I will pass to everybody is, um, especially in the content creation world and the podcasting world, is you know you might think that people are helping you, but they're probably actually not, because like I say, it's dog eat dog. So just be yourself, stop trying to creep and be like other people. Just do what makes you happy, and yeah, if stops making you happy, walk away.
like you did.
Exactly.
There we go. Listen, it's been great having you, Matt, and I'm sure we'll continue these conversations off air as well. In the meantime, thanks to everybody for listening. As always, give us the like, give us a subscription, and any comments down below. I'm sure Matt will be keeping an eye on this one as well. He might even throw a few comments in, who knows. Until next time, it's been a pleasure to have Matt, formerly of Sea Red UK, the brainchild behind it all. As I say, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, so it's great to have him back on again. And who knows, we might get you back on again sometime again down the road, Matt. But we'll wait and see on that one. I've been Neill, and remember, wherever you are in the world, see red, bleed red. Go Bulls.